What you want is for superiors to look at you and say, we know what he can do. He did it before. He could do it again. Let's see him do it. That's what you want to see, as opposed to somebody writing your epitaph like you're finished.
That's clause right there, Patty. I think I get the gist of what everybody's talking about. But can I be honest? Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Can I be honest? I wouldn't be
honest.
No matter if it's Deshaun Watson, no matter if it's Shedeur Sanders, no matter if it's Dylan Gabriel, no matter if it's Cam Newton.
Cam Newton just threw a giant spotlight on one of the biggest issues hanging over the Browns right now. And honestly, it is not the quarterback battle that might be the most important problem. Yeah, the Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders situation is still the headline grabber. That is the storyline everybody wants to argue about. That is the conversation that gets fans fired up, gets the media talking, and gets people picking sides like this is some kind of never-ending football war. But Cam Newton came through and basically said, hold on a second. Before everybody keeps obsessing over who is under center, maybe we should talk about who is supposed to be helping that quarterback actually succeed. And that is where Jerry Jeudy comes in. According to Cam, the Browns have a much bigger issue than just deciding whether Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, or even Dylan Gabriel should be QB1. The bigger issue is that the support system around the quarterback is still not good enough. The offensive line is shaky, the receiving room has not been consistent enough, the tight end group has not been reliable enough, the run game has not done enough, and when you stack all of that together, it starts to become pretty clear why the Browns keep spinning their wheels no matter who is in the huddle.
You can go get Joe Namath.
Broadway Joe.
You name it.
Oh, you name
I
it.
also throw in Joe Burrow. Throw in Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And healthy Patrick Mahomes. None of that matters.
So what matter?
If you got the 32nd lead production unit in the wide receiver unit, it doesn't matter if your wide receiver core led the league in drops. It doesn't matter.
That is what makes Cam Newton's comments so interesting. He did not just say one quarterback was better than another, he went deeper. He said the whole offense has to be better. And if you keep talking about the Browns' quarterback situation like it is the only thing that matters, you are missing the bigger picture. That is why Jerry Jeudy got hit with so much heat. Cam Newton believes the Browns need somebody to finally hold Jeudy accountable, because he was not brought in to be a role player. He was brought in with real expectations. He was supposed to be the guy who could separate, make plays, and give the quarterback somebody dependable when the game gets tight. The question is simple. Has he actually lived up to that? Here's the part nobody is talking about. The Browns have spent too much time focused on the quarterback and not enough time talking about the guys around him. If the receiver room is not producing, if the line is not protecting, if the run game is not helping, the quarterback is automatically set up to fail. That is not an excuse. That's just how football works. You cannot keep throwing different quarterbacks into a broken setup and act shocked when the results are messy. The drops have piled up, the run game has been limited, the offensive line has not been good enough, and all of that creates a situation where the quarterback is constantly working uphill. Cam Newton is right to call it out, and Cleveland needs to finally listen.
That we have an inability to protect our greatest asset with the left guard, center, right tackle, left tackle.
That O-line.
It's the O-line.
Keeping you on your
Got
spine.
more holes in my shirt right now.
Yeah. Because, you're holy. Hallelujah.
Got more Swiss than cheese.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I feel you.
It don't matter who your quarterback is. So
that is why Cam Newton's point lands so hard. Even if you put the best quarterback in the world into this offense, the unit still has to carry its own weight. If receivers are dropping passes, if the line cannot block, if the run game is not creating balance, the quarterback does not have a real chance. And that is the part people miss when they argue about whether Watson or Shedeur should start. No matter who wins that battle, the roster still has to be functional. That is what makes Jerry Jeudy the perfect symbol for this conversation. Nobody looked at him coming out of Alabama and thought he was just another guy. He had a legitimate first-round profile, the kind that makes fans believe a team is getting a difference maker. But in Cleveland, the results have not matched that billing. And once that gap opens up between expectation and production, the criticism comes fast. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Cam Newton was not talking like a random fan in the comments. He was talking like somebody who understands what bad support looks like from inside a quarterback room. He made it crystal clear that if you are coming to Cleveland to be the guy, you have to produce like the guy. Reputation does not last forever in this league. Nobody gets to hide anymore. The quarterback has to play better, the receivers have to catch better, the line has to protect better, the whole offensive identity has to improve. That is why Cam's argument works so well. He is refusing to let everyone turn this into a one-man conversation when the entire offense has been underperforming. And in a division with Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh, that's not just a preference, that's a necessity. You need points, you need rhythm, you need efficiency. Because in the AFC North, you can't just hope the defense holds the line forever. Eventually, the offense has to show up. And right now, Cleveland is still waiting for that moment.
Don't matter who your quarterback is. So that ain't the argument. Somebody need to start holding Jerry Jeudy accountable. Okay? Because, brother, you came to Cleveland to be the number one guy. That production hasn't been number one. So that's why we got to go out and get Concepcion.
Yeah.
So we can get it on. But ain't nobody saying that.
That's true.
Shedeur ain't gonna say it. Deshaun ain't gonna say it. Dylan ain't gonna say it. But I'm gonna say it. It don't matter who you choose out of them three. That production around them has to be better. Do they have a good running back?
That is not a long-term plan. That is survival mode. And Cleveland has been living in survival mode for too long. Jerry Jeudy is not just another name in the receiving room. He is supposed to be part of the answer. He is supposed to be the player who makes the offense easier to trust. But if that has not happened, the criticism is going to keep coming. It does not matter whether the quarterback is Watson, Sanders, or Gabriel. At some point, the receiver has to become more than a name on the depth chart. Everybody wants to talk about the quarterbacks because quarterback drama always gets the most clicks. But if the rest of the offense is still a mess, then the quarterback battle is only half the story. That is why Cam's comments feel like a wake-up call. Stop pretending this is only about the passer. The whole offense needs help. Here's the part nobody is talking about. When the offense gets reshaped, the excuses disappear. The Browns have a new offensive line, a new receiver room, and more competition at multiple positions. If the line is better and the supporting cast is stronger, the production has to go up. If it does not, the criticism gets louder. And Jeudy has already been in Cleveland long enough for people to have a real opinion. He has had enough time, enough opportunity, and enough chances for fans to start wondering whether he's really the receiver they hoped for. That is a dangerous place for any player to be in. The good news is that this situation may finally be forcing the right conversation. Instead of obsessing over which quarterback wins the job, people are being pushed to look at the bigger structure. Is the line strong enough? Are the receivers dependable? Is the tight end group making plays? Are the backs creating balance? Because if the answer to those questions is no, the quarterback debate is almost irrelevant until those problems get fixed. And that is exactly what Cam Newton was saying. He was refusing to let Cleveland hide behind quarterback drama while every other part of the offense stays broken.
Yeah,
But understand,
Holy James.
he don't got no versatility. Like he can run downhill, but now as the game is seeing, we're trying to see a Jahmyr Gibbs brother,
scat back.
and Alvin Kamara brother, and Mr. Christian McCaffrey brother. The running back position has changed. Yeah, Derrick Henry's of the world is still your asset.
Yeah.
But in the run game, third down, passing situations, those type of downhill runners are liabilities.
And he not built like Derrick Henry either.
That is why this clip went so hard, because Cam did what a lot of people around the league are afraid to do. He called out the receiver room without dancing around it. He reminded people that a quarterback can only do so much when his support system is weak, and he made it clear that if the Browns really want to solve their problems, they need to start demanding more from everybody, not just the guy taking the snaps. That is where Jerry Jeudy now finds himself at the center of the storm. Not because he is the only issue, not because he is the worst issue, but because he is one of the names that should be producing more than he has. And when that happens in a city like Cleveland, where the expectations are always loud and the patience is always short, the pressure gets real fast. The source even acknowledges that the Browns are still going to need to see how the new-look offense performs before judging everybody too harshly. That's fair. New room, new pieces, new coaching dynamics, new quarterback possibilities. It makes sense to wait and see how the full picture develops. But Jerry Jeudy is already past the point where people can pretend there is no conversation to be had. The conversation is already here. And Cam Newton made sure of that. That is why this moment matters. It's not just a funny clip or a hot take. It's a real reminder that football is bigger than quarterback hype. It's a team game. It always has been. If the Browns are serious about changing their future, then the whole offense has to get better, not just the most talked about position on the roster. So yes, Cam Newton defended Shedeur Sanders in the sense that he made the bigger point that the quarterback is only part of the equation. But at the same time, he also exposed a major issue for Jerry Jeudy and the rest of Cleveland's offense. If the Browns keep expecting the quarterback to save everybody while the playmakers don't hold up their end, then nothing is going to change. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe for more Browns updates, Shedeur Sanders coverage, and NFL storylines just like this. And drop your thoughts in the comments, because this Jerry Jeudy conversation is only going to get louder from here.